Hi, it's Sandy, and today I'm bringing you my February wrap-up. So in the month of February, I actually did manage to read 10 books. I did not think I was going to get there. Did I fail my TBR? Technically, yeah, because I didn't read everything that was on my TBR, but such is life, and we're not bogging down on that this year. No, we're not. But I did manage to read 10 books, which I am really happy about. I did, however, DNF 3. As always, I will go over my DNFs first and then go into the books that I actually finished. The first thing I DNF'd, unfortunately, was an ARC, and that is Reality Check by Lizzie Huxley Jones. I don't know why I have so much issue saying their name. I have read a book by Lizzie Huxley Jones before. I'm looking for it. I can't see it. But it was a book, a Christmas book, female romance with a disabled main character. Make You Mine This Christmas. That was terrible to watch. So I did in fact DNF Reality Check. It was also another sapphic romance, and it was set on a reality show. So it was kind of like a mix between Married at First Sight and what's the other one? I can't remember what it's called. But basically the idea was that there's these two groups. There's the guys and the girls, and they are kept in two different dormitories. They never get to meet each other. They're paired up by psychologists and psychiatrists and all that jazz to who they would work with the best, and then they have to go on blind dates. And by blind dates I mean they're in two separate rooms with a wall between them, but they can still hear each other, so they can talk, and then they whittle it down and blah blah blah. But two of the two main characters, who are two of the women in the dormitories, end up sort of having something going with each other, and realise that they want to be together more than they would rather be with the guys. I like I say, I DNF'd it. It just got to a point where one of the characters was being a total word I can't say on the internet. They just got so petty and so childish and so nasty to each other, to the point where I'm like, I can't really wind this back. I don't there were things that for me are just non-starters. That's it, deal done, walking away, drawing a line. And I didn't want to read about them. I didn't care. I didn't care what happened to them. I didn't care if one of them walked out the studio and got hit by a bus. So yeah, I ended up DNFing it, and I was actually quite disgusted at some of the behaviour. I really didn't like it. It just was not for me. But I've realised recently that I'm quite sensitive to not bully romance, but I don't like bully. If something's described as a bully romance, what's the one, Zodiac Academy or any Penelope Douglas, I'm absolutely not. I'm not here for that. I did start Zodiac Academy and DNF'd it because of that. But there's being grumpy, there's being having banter, and then there's behaviour that is just crossing a line for me, and there's some things that just can't come back from. And unfortunately that affected 2 books this month, this being the first. The next thing I DNF'd was Dating and Other Theories by Susanna Nix. This just, the writing style wasn't doing it for me, the characters weren't doing it for me, and again, she was just being mean in a way that was just not necessarily mean, but in her own head mean. The way she was talking about this guy, I was how are you ever gonna fall for me? She has got this idea about him and who he is because of the fact that he looks like a hipster and he's a student screenwriter. Just a student, mind you. Not a screenwriter, just a student. He's only just a student. That's the kind of attitude she had towards him. She was demeaning him because he was a student. She was demeaning him because he liked to wear flannels. You're a woman in STEM. You know what it's like to be discriminated against. You don't get to turn around and punch down at someone because you think they're not as good as you. Absolutely not. I could not. He deserved better. I don't know how their relationship ended up, but if I was in this, I'd be you know what? He deserves better. So yeah, I DNF'd this. And the last one I DNF'd was Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This wasn't any fault of the book. None of it's really faults of the book, it's just personal preference. But this one, it wasn't because I didn't like it. It was just because I wasn't getting anything out of it. I was just reading the words on the page. I wasn't engaging with the story. And I just couldn't find myself engaging with it. I wasn't curious about what happened in the submarine. I wasn't curious about the relationship. I just didn't have any impetus to care about the characters. Again, this is only 170 something pages. Sorry, that's a lie. 229 pages. I could have pushed through this, but I got over halfway through and I was like, I just can't. I'm reading it for the sake of reading it, and that's not how I want to do my reading. Some people love this and find this really poignant, and I love that for them. But for me, it just didn't resonate with me at all. Okay, so the first book I actually finished in the month of February was The Wild Card by Stephanie Archer. This is the last book in the series. It is the last book in the series. This is the Vancouver Storm series, and this follows Coach Ward and the owner of the bar that the guys all go to after games. Now Coach Ward and this character, they don't get on. She ends up coming to work with the team for some reason. I can't remember why. But between the two of them, they need to work together to actually save the storm, because they're having a bit of an issue, and it could be sort of curtains for the team if they don't get their shit together and figure out how to save them. I love these two together. I have to say, given that I've just finished a hockey romance that was very similar to this, where it's like, not a hockey romance, another sports romance, but it's baseball, where it's the coach and the new owner, because this is kind of a similar vein. My brain's getting them tangled up a wee bit, but I love the Vancouver Storm. I love this series. I think, based on the end of this book, that there's going to be a spin-off series, or at least she's leaving it open to a spin-off series. We've introduced, people are retiring, we're introducing new rookies and new players, and we're introducing more people that could be the subject of another series. So I have a feeling there might be a spin-off series for the Storm. We can only hope. And it did seem like it was setting up the start of a new story right at the end. But yeah, if you like hockey romances that have a great found family, these are just fantastic series, and I am going to reread them at some point. And yeah, I can't believe it's over. That's really sad. Next, I read the first two books in a trilogy. Book 3 is not out yet, but these are some chunky books, and that is Quicksilver and Brimstone by Callie Hart. Yes, I read both of them, one after the other. So Quicksilver I had on KU, and Brimstone I ended up picking up the audiobook for it because it was available at the library, and then I ordered these on Vinted so that I would have the gilded copies for the upcoming third book coming out, so that I could have matching copies. There's a surprising number of these on sale for really good prices. I think I got these for including postage, £25, which, come on, that's a deal. But as for this story, so Quicksilver follows our main character, who is a human living in this very it reminded me so much of Star Wars. It really made me think of Star Wars. So Ceres lives in this desert city. There's nobody else for miles. They have no other civilizations that they're in contact with, but it is this city in the middle of a desert. It's set out like a wheel, and each segment is a ward. So she lives in Ward 3, and everybody struggles for water. It's rationed by their queen. The elites obviously get more. Water is the really big thing in this place, because obviously with the heat and the constant suns, I'll get to that in a second, water is the one thing that they desperately need. Now, yes, I did say suns. So this is a city that this planet has 2 suns. That's why it was it reminded me of Star Wars. Desert city, 2 suns. However, the suns never set. They never, ever set. And so they're constantly being baked by these 2 suns, who are representatives of 2 of their gods, twin goddesses, who are part of their pantheon. So Ceres is a bit of a thief, a bit of a mischief maker, and at the start of this she steals a gold gauntlet from one of the royal guards. Now you do not steal from the royal guards, you do not best the royal guards because there will be consequences. And so Ceres's brother is caught in her place, and she basically sacrifices herself so that he will be let go. And she's taken to this room inside the castle to be killed. And I don't say executed, I say killed because it's pretty grim, where she ends up touching the sword and activating a pool of quicksilver. And through this quicksilver comes this big hulking fae warrior. And he saves Ceres, takes her through the portal to his realm, to the fairy realm. It's not our fairy realm, it's not like Cassie Clare fae realm type thing, it's like just a totally different realm, to his realm. And they sort of heal her up, and she's like, what the hell is going on? And they're like, how did you do that? How did you? The Quicksilver portals have been shut for centuries. How did you do that? And she's like, I don't know. And so in this book, we're mainly figuring out how Ceres can do this and how she can control it, and also trying to figure out how to help the Fae Realm because the Fae Realm is at war currently. So there are 3 sort of places in this realm. So there's 3 different types of people, and 2 of them, the Fae and the vampires, they don't call them vampires, but I can't remember what they call them, are at war. And there's this river that is like the border of their lands, and the Fae magic doesn't work in the vampire land, and the vampires aren't as strong in the Fae land. So once they cross over that river, because it's icy, once the vampires cross over, like the Fae throw their magic at them, but they've been at war for so long. And it just never seems to end, which is funny because it reminds me a lot in that way of AZebraReads, because they're also at war with a vampire other country who they've been at war with for hundreds of thousands of years, and things aren't always what they seem. So in this we learn about the Fae Realm, we learn about Ceres's powers, her abilities, the sort of world building of the Fae and the characters of the Fae. I really enjoyed this. I didn't like this one as much as I like Quicksilver, because Brimstone. Brimstone is a follow-on, obviously, after the consequences of this book, so I'm not going to tell you anything about this because it would be spoilers. But in Quicksilver, it is from Ceres' point of view only. It is only from her one point of view, whereas Brimstone splits into 2 points of view. So you have hers and Kingfisher's, and that to me makes so much more sense. I don't even know if there's maybe more. I can't remember if there's other points of view. But the audiobook also really good because it's dual narration, at least with or duet narration, I can't remember the difference. Or I remember the difference, I don't remember which one is which. For Brimstone, so Kingfisher, the guy that does the voice for Kingfisher, speaks in his chapters and also comes into Ceres' chapters to say his lines. So it's not her trying to say his, like, try to do his deep voice, and vice versa. So she pops into his to say her lines. Whereas this, I read this physically by ebook, and this is heavy. And it is only one point of view, and that is the one thing I think was missing from this book. The thing that reduced my enjoyment of it is that it was only one point of view. I think we would have got a lot more out of it if we'd had Kingfisher's point of view. That's all I'm going to say. Next, I read Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen, and you're looking at me going, Andy, is that 2 copies of the same book? Yes, it is. I did not buy 2 copies of the same book. One of these does not have some pages. They're just blank pages, and so they had to reprint the book, and sent me out a new one, and I can't remember which one's which, so I put them both in the pile. But yes, so I also actually read it on ebook, so I technically have 3 copies of the book, but I only paid for 1 and a bit because like 99p deals don't count. So Our Infinite Fates follow our 2 main characters, Evelyn and I can't remember the other person's name. So Evelyn has lived multiple lives. Every time she is about to reach the age of 18, she's killed by our second character, whose name I can't remember, and it's really doing my head in. So every time before her 18th birthday, she is killed, and it causes them to die as well. So they both die before they turn 18 because they have the same birthday. And this time round, her little sister is waiting for a stem cell transplant from her, but there's some complications, and so she needs more time. She was about to turn 18, but she needs more time, and so she's trying, because they never look the same, she's trying to figure out who the person is that's going to kill her, because they always reincarnate as different people, and so she's trying to figure out who it is so that she can do something about it to stop them from being able to stop her from donating stem cells to her little sister. And yeah, you just follow them as you go back in time and see the previous lives, and you also see them in the present time as Evelyn's trying to figure out, like I say, who is trying to kill her, or who is going to be the one to kill her, and also to try and save her sister's life because her sister has cancer, hence the stem cells. I love this so much. This was so good. I love a split timeline book. I would say this is on the like higher end of YA, maybe new adult. There's no like, I don't think there's really anything that explicit in it, but obviously the whole concept of being murdered, and sometimes not in very pleasant ways, is, you know, quite a heavy topic, and some of the other topics that come up in here are quite heavy, but it reads very YA, so it's very easy to read. I did enjoy this. I do think though it was just missing something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because it was YA and I'm not that into YA anymore. But it was so good, definitely worth it, and it's made me want to read more of Laura Stevens' work. And if you don't know, Laura Stevens wrote Silvercloak, and Silvercloak doesn't seem like something I would read, but given how much I like Quicksilver, generally speaking, and Direbound, and this, I'm really, really tempted, but I don't like heist books, or like spy books, or like, I can't remember exactly what, but she's got to work her way into this order. It's not usually for me, but we'll see. Next, I read The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros, and yeah, I can see why I've seen someone say that Rebecca Yarros is predominantly a romance author who has gone into the fantasy genre, and I totally see that. This story had that, like, I was reading the story and I was like, yeah, okay, it's a story, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I just got totally wrapped up in it. Now, I'm not 100% wrapped up in the romance, I will be honest with you. I apparently, unlike a lot of people I've seen reviews for, I was so invested in the World War II romance. But I mean, I've got a whole shelf over there of like mostly World War II historical fiction. So I was so wrapped up in the World War II romance. I wasn't as enamoured with the current timeline one, but I loved the characters. I love how complex and like there was so much going on at once with the characters, and so much that just didn't make sense until it all tied together in the end. And honestly, I actually did really enjoy this. It definitely wasn't as good as, well, in my opinion, I didn't like it as much as I liked Fourth Wing. But yeah, I have not stopped thinking about parts of this book since I read it, and that always shows me that something has sticking power and it's good if it's stuck around in my head for a while. Next, I read Dead as a Doornail by Charlene Harris. I had to look there because they've all got very similar names. Dead as a Doornail is, I don't even know at this point, one of the books in the Suki Stackhouse True Blood Southern Vampire Mysteries series that I'm going to reread of. And in this one, we get to see more. I think this is the one where we get to see more of the wares. So there's a competition for the new alpha of the wares, and this is one of my least favourite ones. I don't like some of the things that happen in this, and not from a perspective of like it's bad in any way. It just makes me uncomfortable, and bad things happen to characters that I happen to like. So it's like it's doing what it's meant to do. But we step away from the vampires quite a bit in this one and look more at the wares. We get to know more about the were society, more specifically more about how they were wolves, because there are more than one type of were. While there's also a killer going around shooting and killing wares. Yeah, this was really, really good. I really enjoyed it, and I am excited to continue. Then I finally got round to Red Side Story by Jasper Ford. This, I have to say, I think this was worth the wait. It was not perfect. It was not a 5-star, but it was worth the wait. There was something that happened in this that I was like, wait, what? Excuse me? It did something that other books have done to me before, and I've been like, what? Which is funny because there's another book I read this month that did the same thing, and I did not appreciate it. But this one, I was like, oh, okay. This is the follow-up to Shades of Grey, and it follows a society where people are split into colours. So you have purples, blues, reds, greens, I forget colours, yellows, oranges, like all your sort of main colour wheel colours. And then you have greys. And the way this is decided is it is based on what colours you can see. So, for example, a red can only see in shades of red, a blue can only see in shades of blue, a green can only see in shades of green, a purple can only see shades of purple. I think there might be like crossover for like reds, and there's a way it works. It's something to do with like the way they're processing colours, and so you are sorted that way. And there are like ranks in society. So purples are up at the highest point, and greys are way down at the bottom. Greys don't even register as people to them because they can't see any colour, and who can't see any colour basically is how they treat them. And in our first book we meet Eddie, who is a red, and he ends up meeting Jane, who is a grey, and she kind of lifts the lid on the fact that there's more going on in this world than Eddie realises, mostly because Eddie just kind of plods along, just getting on with things because that's how things are. But then he realises that not only is there more going on that Jane can tell about, but there are people close to him that have not been telling him the truth, and they know more than they have been letting on. I love the way this book went. I could not have seen this coming a mile off. I honestly thought I had theories. I was kind of on the right vein, but my theory was totally wrong. Or, well, I was on the right vein, but I didn't get it. This book I've been waiting on for ages, but I didn't need to even reread the first one because it stuck so well in my memory. But this one, yeah, this was really interesting. And I thought this was going to be like a duology, it's going to be the last one, but nope, it seems like there's going to be more. I don't know how to feel about that. Next, I read Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. This is a small-town cowboy romance. I thought there was something in my book, it's part of the speckling. That's well done, Andy. This is a small-town cowboy romance, and it is about two people who are from this town and have moved away and are now coming back again. One of which he came back a little bit ago. The other one, she's just coming back into town. So, names. Cece has just gotten out of a toxic relationship and basically left everything and moved back home, and she needs to find a job. While Nash, who is her brother's best friend and has grown up with her family because his parents died when he was very young, he is a hotshot hockey player who's come back to the town and has been making inroads and setting down roots, and he ends up being the one to hire her. And she's not happy about that, but she really needs the job. And so they have to work together, and she starts to realise just how much he's really done for this town and what he's done for the people around him. All the while, she's always had a crush on him because, like, it's a whole brother's best friend thing. But her ex still keeps... I wanted to donkey kick him out of a window, honestly. I think everybody in this book did. But yeah, this is so, like, it reminded me, so I kept seeing, so the characters I was, or like the people I was seeing in my head for the characters were the girl from Ali and AJ, whose name I can't remember, but when she had, if I can find a photo of her or put it up, with like, she had like curly blonde hair, and I saw that's what I was seeing for Cece, and the other guy I was seeing, funnily enough, the guy who plays Alcide Harvaux, for Nash, I was seeing the guy who plays Alcide Harvaux in the True Blood TV series. That's what I was like, these two is what I was seeing in my head for these. I love this. Like, she's a proper country girl, lives on a farm type thing, but is, I believe, an accountant. So she's like super whip smart, but people don't think she is because she's blonde, she's got a southern accent, she likes to wear short shorts like Daisy Dukes and a cowboy hat. Like, I love these characters and I'm so excited to read more from this series. And then the last physical book I read was Hang the Moon by Alexandra Bellefleur. This is the second book in this trilogy. Written in the Stars is the first one, and I can't remember what the third one is called. But this follows the brother of the main character from the first one, or one of the main characters, and her best friend. And he's always had a crush on her best friend. And she has suddenly popped up into town. I think it's Seattle. Annie arrives in Seattle, kind of spontaneously, because she is about to move to London and she doesn't want to tell her best friend over the phone that is happening. So she arrives in Seattle and she's like, hey, I came to visit you. And her friend's like, I'm in Vancouver. I think I remember it's Vancouver, I'm making things up. Basically, she's not there. She's on honeymoon holiday type thing with her, holiday with her girlfriend. And she's only going to be away for a few days, so she's like, look, stay at my apartment. Brendan's got keys, her brother has got keys, he'll let you in, it'll be fine. And so her brother, who's had a crush on Annie forever, decides that he's going to help show her around Seattle. But also, because Annie doesn't believe in love and he's a massive romantic, he decides that he's going to show her all the romantic sides of Seattle to try and get her to believe in love. This goes hilariously wrong. It is very slapstick in that sense. And yeah, she has to decide whether or not she wants to stay or, put her career first and go to London, because everybody she loves is really in Seattle. Like, she's closer to her parents, she's closer to her best friend, like her best friend's there with her partner and her brother, like the people she grew up with are there. Her parents are in Greece, her parents are from Greece, so they've gone back. And yeah, overall, this is really nice. Didn't do anything special for me, but I enjoyed it. And the last thing I read in the month of February was Sunny Disposition by Deanna Gray. This I found literally last minute. I think I finished it in one sitting because I was trying to get my Kindle set up for reading like this month's books, March's books, and I saw it in my KU list. Sorry, I'm playing with my watch there. I saw it in my KU list and I was like, oh, because it's a college hockey romance, and it does remind me a lot of Undone. Unsteady. Undone's not even... That has just been announced, Andy. So Unsteady by Peyton Corinne, where we have a character, a hockey player, who ends up with a TBI, traumatic brain injury. And he... In this, it's the opposite of, like, in Unsteady, he is the sunshine and she is the grumpy. Whereas in this, like, the female main character is just this ray of sunshine. But she is also a streamer, and a black female streamer at that. And one of her moderators is this hockey player, but she doesn't know it's him and he doesn't know who she is. But what happens is he ends up being jumped by another team after a game, and ends up with a traumatic brain injury and losing his memory, so he doesn't remember who people are. He gets kind of like feelings of, like, when he sees his parents, he knows, like, he has the feeling that he cares about them. He knows he cares about them, but he doesn't immediately recognise who they are, and they have to, like, build up remembering who they are. But there's some memories of his that just haven't come back. And one of the things he finds on his phone, once they get it all, well, his phone's destroyed, but they manage to get a new one and he downloads all his apps and stuff, as he finds the conversations between him and her, and he has no idea who she is. He just knows that when he reads the messages, he feels again how he felt about her, and so he knows that she must be someone very special to him. Now, fast forward, he is moving into this house for the start of the next semester at university. And who is living there but our female main character? I can't remember names. I'm really sorry, I can't remember names, which is just me. So she is friends with the owner's daughter, and so they've said to her, look, we'll give you half price rent here if you will also do the cleaning for us at the house for the rental. And she's like, yeah, sure. She can't really afford much, so that really helps her out. And so the 4 hockey players, who I'm assuming are the ones that are going to be in the next few books, move into this house with her, and they're very nice, they're very respectful, very much ready to throw down for her. Like, that's not a problem at all. But at some point he realises who she is, and through the book he just is struggling with how to tell her, how to speak to her about it, because IRL, they don't really get along. He is short and he's snappy and he's grumpy and he doesn't always say the right thing. In fact, he's pretty good at saying the wrong thing, mainly because of his brain injury. Like, he is in a position where people expect him to be his old self, but he's not. He can't even remember his old self. So he is kind of locked in with being scared of not being who he used to be, but not wanting to be at the same time. And she is torn between starting to like him and knowing that she likes the other guy, or she doesn't know it's him. This book for me I don't think it did what it could have done. It was still very, very good, don't get me wrong. I still really, really enjoyed it. I read it in one go. I really enjoyed these characters. I thought the relationship was great. She's a really tall woman as well, and so she gets a lot of stick from guys about that, and he doesn't care because he's like a 6-something hockey player. He's like, meh. He's like, hey, you're my height and heels. Like, he's not intimidated by her being tall. And I just think it didn't go in enough to the complications of the brain injury and the social sort of consequences of that. It definitely went into a lot of the physical consequences and some of the things that he was going through. I do think, like I said, it reminded me of Unsteady. Unfortunately, I just think Unsteady did that side of it better for me. This did different things. This was very much just the fact that there are some things I wish it dug into. Like, it makes a comment on the fact that she is a black female gamer and she streams, and that's not something that is common. I don't want to say, like, a lot of the streamers you find are men, especially white men, and so you could expect her to get a lot of abuse, a lot of remarks, and they never really mention that at all, even though it's in the synopsis. I don't think his traumatic brain injury was really dug into as much. I just feel like the characters felt a bit flat. This is the thing, I sound like I'm saying really bad things about it, but I gave it a 4-star. I still really, really enjoyed it. It just glanced over some of the things I wish it dug deeper into it and would have made it just a perfect 5-star. Okay, those are the books that I read in the month of February. I'm really, really happy with my reading. There are some stuff that I already want to reread. Like, I really want to reread Quicksilver and Brimstone for whatever the third one's called. I was going to beat myself up for not knowing what the third one was called, but then I remembered it's just up as Fae and Alchemy Book 3, so I don't actually know what it's called yet. Nobody does. I think I did have an idea based on something that happened, like, because it's one of the things, like, they said the name of the book and the name of the title in the book, sort of thing. But yeah, I really want to reread them already. I am excited to continue with a lot of these series that I've been reading, and yeah, it was a good month for reading. Tori was hosting Series TBR-a-thon. I managed to hit all 25 prompts with, doubling up and stuff like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the month. I loved having the goal to go towards, but not feeling like I had to black out the bingo board with 25 books, because that would have been too much. And I found fantasy that I really liked. Like, Quicksilver and Brimstone, I actually really, really enjoyed them. Like, more than I thought I would. And I'm really enjoying the fact that I'm getting more into fantasy now. Like, I have, like, other fantasies from, a lot of them are sci-fi. I have a lot of fantasies from, like, before. And I just felt like I kind of fell out of love with fantasy, or the fantasy that was being written just wasn't for me. But now I'm starting to find fantasies that I enjoy, and I'm really, really happy with that. So yeah, all in all, great month, and I'm excited for March. If you want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, if you leave me some kind of cowboy emojis for holding the reins. Cowboy and hockey, basically, for holding the reins. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.